Hello again, Caps fans, as well as those less fortunate than us, i.e. fans of all of the teams that did not win the Stanley Cup last year. Hey, that includes you, Tampa Bay, because yes, despite how cocky you are at the moment, during this relatively meaningless regular season, the fact does still remain that, back-to-back shutouts, Game 6 and Game 7. I will just leave it at that. Now, for this week's episode, in addition to the weekly wrap-up and analysis that we always do, we're going to be playing a little game today as well. So what we'll do the wrap-up first, but you are going to want to stick around for this game that we're going to play. It'll be during the last half of the podcast, and again, you are going to want to stick around for that. I can promise you that. The Caps, they played one very good and one great game against the regular season leading Tampa Bay Lightning, and they somehow lost both games. The first in Tampa, 6-3. Although I should mention it was really more like 4-3 because there were two empty net goals tacked on by Tampa at the end of the game. I've never seen anyone so excited to score an empty net goal the way that Yanni Gordy was, but to each their own, I guess. And the second game at Capital One, the Caps put a franchise record 58 shots on net and lost in overtime. They outshot the Lightning 58-28 overall for the game. Tampa Bay scored 3 power play goals. It was a bit of an off night for the usually stout Braden Holtby. But no matter. The Caps own this game so hard they should start renting it out and charging tenants 6 times what the mortgage was. It was complete and utter domination. The Bolts generated really absolutely nothing at 5-on-5 for the majority of the night. They were gifted, like I said, 3 power play goals. And that basically turned out to be the difference, along with Andrei Vasilevsky having the game of his life, combined with Braden Holtby missing a few that he would probably like to have back. But again, we know how Holtby was able to play against them in the playoffs, so that's not a concern for me at all. What we should focus on is how completely dominated the Lightning were at 5-on-5. The Bolts have to be feeling a little bit nervous about what happens if the Caps decide to be disciplined in the playoffs and don't take so many penalties, which from what we saw in last year's playoffs, I think we can expect a much more disciplined Caps team once the playoffs start and the games start really counting for something. And just in general as well, there's always fewer penalties being called in the playoffs versus the regular season. So that's, unless of course you're playing against Schittsburg, in which case then there's a ton of penalties being called against you. But look, I don't want to complain about the officiating in this game, but I will say that Ryan McDonough in particular should be ashamed of himself because he took a dive that would make Sidney Crosby proud. And in general, actually, the Lightning just seemed to whine and cry a lot for penalties. The majority of the time when no penalty actually took place. I don't know if that's because they saw it work for Schittsburg 2 years in a row in the playoffs, or maybe they're feeling a bit entitled now that they've got the President's Trophy locked up, so they feel like they deserve 10 power plays every game. But for me, I hate teams that conduct themselves that way. The Penguins, of course, being the best of the best in the world. In terms of whining, crying, diving, and complaining. So yeah, I've lost some respect for the Lightning over these last couple of games in particular, but who am I? The one thing that I'll also say is that Chernak, or whatever the hell his name is, has completely embarrassed himself in these last 2 games against the Caps by refusing to drop the gloves with Tom Wilson. Wilson was trying to get him to fight right from the drop of the puck on Wednesday, and the reason Willie was trying to get him to fight is because Chernak has been running around trying to pretend as if he's Tampa Bay's new resident tough guy. He'll yap at Wilson nonstop to try and make it look as if he's a badass, and he will cheap shot Wilson all game long, and he'll sucker punch him when the referees are in the way. But then as soon as push comes to shove, and Wilson wants him to drop them, Chernak all of a sudden wants nothing to do with it. So it's more than a little embarrassing at this point, and please, Chernak, for the sake of the integrity of this great sport that we all love, drop your fucking gloves, you fucking pussy. Anyways, so that was the Lightning. The Caps sandwiched those 2 games with 2 road wins in Philadelphia and in New Jersey. And then, of course, they lost probably the most boring game of the year against Minnesota, 2-1. And then, of course, today, Sunday, they get a big win at home over Philadelphia, 3-1 over the Flyers. Pretty much effectively putting an end to Philadelphia's run for that last wildcard spot as well. So Philadelphia, of course, being one of the Caps' kind of all-time rivals, feels good for sure that the Caps are able to kind of put the brakes on the Flyers' push for the playoffs. The Capitals faced Philadelphia 4 times this season, and the Caps won all 4 games. They swept them for the first time since 2007. So definitely feels good that, if the Flyers had gotten even a season series split against the Caps, they would be in a lot better position as far as trying to make the playoffs. But the Caps putting the brakes on that one today with a 3-1 win at Capital One Arena. And so the Caps are sitting in pretty good position, currently in first place in the Metropolitan Division. And with that, I think, have we had enough serious talk for today? Because we're going to play that game that we were promising back at the beginning of the show. I'm going to bring back ex-Bruins fan Sunny M for this part of the episode. Now, most of you have probably heard of this game before, maybe even played it yourselves at some point. The name of the game, and it is a classic, it is Marry, Fuck, Kill. That's Marry, Fuck, Kill. Except that we're going to play the hockey version of it using current and former hockey players, coaches, general managers, really any important or semi-important names associated with the sport of hockey. And we are playing it with a twist, given that we don't actually want to fuck or marry any of them. So here's the deal. Marry means that it's a guy who you would absolutely always want to be on your team long term. He's great at what he does, he's reliable, he's got integrity, he's just an all-around great guy and great asset with no downside. Think, of course, like a Nicholas Backstrom, for example. The perfect player and the perfect human being. Fuck means that it is a guy whom you acknowledge has the skill. He could be perhaps flashy, and again, you acknowledge that he's good at what he does, but you still would not, even if given the opportunity, you would not take this guy on your team because even for all of his good assets, there's just too many things that you don't like about him. Maybe he's a very good player, but he's a total douchebag. Think, for example, like a Brad Marchand for lots of people. And finally, kill. Well, I think actually that one is probably pretty self-explanatory. You utterly fucking hate that guy. Okay, so are we ready to play? Sunny, say hi to everyone.
Hey guys.
Okay, so you know the rules, so I'm going to ask you first, and then I'll give my answer once you're finished. So basically, I've grouped them into groups of 3, so it's either players, coaches, or anyone really that's associated with the sport of hockey. So again, I'll ask you first, and then I'll give my answer once you're finished, and you've got to pick one each for fuck, marry, and kill. Okay?
Sounds good.
Okay, here we go. So the first one should be easy. Nicholas Backstrom, Nikita Kucherov, and Ryan Reeves.
Oh, Jesus. So definitely kill Reeves, hands down.
Obviously.
Kucherov, I'd fuck with him, And Nicholas Backstrom, for sure, I will marry.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with that. Nicholas Backstrom obviously is the one that I would marry. Nikita Kucherov, fuck. I don't really like the way that he conducts himself on the ice sometimes. It's kind of diving and crying a lot, but that's okay. He's a good player. And Reeves, just a useless piece of shit. I would kill him so hard. And okay, so this one might be a little bit harder. Number 2, we've got... Let me see what we've got. We've got Patrick Kane, Steven Stamkos, and Sidney Crosby.
Okay, that's pretty easy for me. Kill Crosby. I hope someone checks him so hard he's got a concussion.
Whoa, okay. We got to be careful with that because that's karma that comes back to bite you. So we just want to make clear we do not wish injury on anyone. She is kidding, I think.
And then I think I picked Stamkos to fuck with. I like him, but I don't like him. It's kind of a hate and love relationship, I guess. And then I would marry Kane for sure.
Marry Patrick Kane. Okay. For me, I would have to say fuck for Patrick Kane. I know a lot of people don't like the Hawks, but I really don't mind them. Maybe because the Caps always beat them. Steven Stamkos for me would be the one that I would marry. And Sidney Crosby, of course, kill. And you know what? I hear a lot of Penguins fans always saying, oh, fuck you, you'd totally want him on your team. Well, no, actually, I would not. I would not want him on my team, and maybe that's probably why I'm not a general manager. I'm a fan. But as a fan, I just hate the way that he plays this great game of hockey, which I love so much. I'm sure if he were ever to listen to this, he would probably hate the way that I comment on this great game of hockey, which he loves so much. But that's fine. We live in free countries, most of us, and we can think and say whatever the hell we want. Unless you're going to say that pineapple doesn't belong on pizza, in which case, fuck you, you're a lunatic. And that's the end of my analysis on Crosby. So, number 3, we've got Jonathan Toews of the Blackhawks, obviously, Brad Marchand of the Bruins, and Chris Letang of the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Come on, you're giving me easy ones here. Kill Letang, because he's so annoying I can't handle him. Toews, I would probably have to say...
You've got Toews or Marchand.
You know what? Because I am a Bruins fan. I don't know. I'd have to marry Marchand.
Ooh, that's controversial.
And fuck with Toews.
Fuck with Toews, okay. For me, no question, I would marry Jonathan Toews. Brad Marchand, I can fuck with him. And Chris Letang, useless, kill him. Number 4, we've got Claude Giroux of the Flyers, of Evgeny Malkin of the Penguins, and Johnny Gaudreau of the Flames.
So marry Gaudreau.
Okay.
Giroux, fuck with. And obviously kill Malkin.
Kill Malkin. Okay, that's not surprising at all. For myself as well, I'd have to say marry Johnny Gaudreau. He's having an amazing season. Claude Giroux, I would fuck with him. And Evgeny Malkin, kill. Are you starting to notice a pattern here for me? I'm killing a lot of flightless waterfowl here. And number 5, we've got Patrice Bergeron of your Bruins, Phil Kessel of the Penguins, and Mark Stone of the Vegas Golden Knights.
Bergeron, marry. I like Bergeron. Kessel, obviously kill. And Mark Stone, don't really know much about him per se, but I'd probably just fuck with him just because everyone clearly seems to like him for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know. There was a lot of hoopla about him at the trade deadline for sure, but we'll see how that works out for Vegas. I'm sure they're hoping the Caps don't make it to the final again. I guess I have to answer as well. So Patrice Bergeron, I would marry him for sure. He's probably actually, if not my favorite, he's definitely one of my favorite non-Capitals players, Patrice Bergeron. So marry him for sure. Fuck with Mark Stone and kill Phil Kessel. Death by too many hot dogs. And number 6, we've got Jack Eichel of the Sabres, Jeff Skinner also of the Sabres, and Matthew Tkachuk of the Calgary Flames.
Probably marry Tkachuk. I don't know. Maybe I'd just kill Skinner. No. I'd kill Eichel. And then maybe fuck with Skinner.
And again, the way that she's saying it, we just want to make clear we're not actually advocating killing anyone. We're just simply saying that we hate that guy and we would never want him on our team. For me, I would marry Matthew Tkachuk. I love Matthew Tkachuk. I love the way that he plays the game. He models his game after Tom Wilson, he said, so that's probably why I love him so much. And I would fuck with Jack Eichel, kill Jeff Skinner. He's just a total diva out there. I don't like the way that he plays at all. Okay, let's do a few just for the Canadian team specifically. You're going to like this. So number 7, we've got Connor McDavid, obviously of the Edmonton Oilers, Mark Scheifele of the Winnipeg Jets, and Austin Matthews of the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Hands down, kill Matthews. He's useless to me. Like, every game, no matter what.
And you're from Toronto and you're saying this.
Yeah, no. You know what? I'd probably marry Scheifele and fuck McDavid. I don't really know. McDavid doesn't really do anything for me in terms of long-term...
The greatest player in the game does not do anything for you?
Well, if you had Alex Ovechkin on there, for sure.
So you're saying Ovechkin's the greatest. Okay, I'm sure Caps fans everywhere can get down with that. For me, marry Connor McDavid, hands down. Fuck with Scheifele, and I as well would kill Austin Matthews. I don't know, it's just like there's so much hype about him, and I don't see it. Every time that we watch him, I don't know, I just don't see it.
He's got no emotion in his game.
He just, he seems to shrink when the moments in the game get bigger, it's like, when the Caps played against Toronto in the playoffs, for example, a couple of years back, or watching Matthews in the playoffs last year against the Bruins, he was terrible, terrible. So, I don't know. I wouldn't want him for the playoffs on my team for sure. Number 8, we've got Blake Wheeler of the Winnipeg Jets, Leon Draisaitl of the Edmonton Oilers, and John Tavares of the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Kill, Tavares.
You're such a Leafs hater. She's from Toronto, you guys. She's born and raised in Toronto.
That doesn't mean we all like the Leafs. They're horrible. I'd probably marry Wheeler. I feel like he's really, really, I like him a lot. And Draisaitl, I'll just fuck with him just 'cause meh.
Meh. He's having an amazing season though. But I would agree. I would between for me it would be between Wheeler or Draisaitl as to who you want to marry, but I would choose Blake Wheeler every time. He's just he's like the consummate captain. I feel he's probably the most improved player in the league over the last 5 years or so. I really like the way that he plays. I think he plays the game with a lot of integrity. So I would marry Blake Wheeler, fuck with Leon Draisaitl, who's again putting up quite the season for Edmonton. Unfortunately, it's not doing them much good. And John Tavares, I would have to say kill Tavares. I don't mind Tavares. It's just, I don't know. It's I don't know if it's him specifically or just all of Toronto. They're so entitled, I feel, it's just they got Tavares in the summer and it's let's just hand out the Stanley Cup right now because, and then they're on pace actually this season to finish with fewer points through the regular season than they had last year without Tavares.
Well, not to mention his goals have shrunk.
Well, he's got a career high, but it's he's playing with Mitch Marner now, so he wasn't really playing with anyone usually, for the Islanders. But, Mitch Marner is the engine that makes that line go for Toronto. So, you see him score some goals, but it's mostly he's kind of standing around in front of the net and Marner gets him the puck. So Marner's doing all the work. But I don't know. He's just, again, I don't mind him so much, but he's just overrated, I guess, in my eyes. And if it was a choice between, killing him, killing Draisaitl, or killing Wheeler, I'd have to say kill Tavares. So, number 9, we have got the aforementioned Mitch Marner of the Toronto Maple Leafs, Brock Besser of the Vancouver Canucks, and Elias Lindholm of the Calgary Flames.
I think I'd probably marry Marner, not because I like him, just because I feel like he's most useful. Besser, kill. And probably, I guess, fuck with Lindholm. He's all right.
Yeah, Lindholm, he never really did much for me in Carolina, but he's definitely, he's become a much better player since going to Calgary, probably because, he's playing with better line mates. But, for me as well, I would say I would fuck with Lindholm, marry Mitch Marner 100%. I really like Marner. I love the way that he plays. And that leaves Brock Besser to kill. I don't know. I'm not a fan of the Canucks. Everybody knows that. Besser, he doesn't really do anything for me. He's supposed to be this, great goal scorer. Canucks fans were comparing him to Ovechkin, which is laughable to me. But, he's got a pretty good shot, but other than that, he's super slow. I don't know if you guys have ever watched him play. He can't really create much for himself. He just kind of waits for Pettersson to pass him the puck and then go from there. But, so kill Brock Besser, fuck with Elias Lindholm, and marry Mitch Marner. And now we've got a few specifically for defensemen. So number 10, we've got Brent Burns of the San Jose Sharks, Morgan Riley of the Toronto Maple Leafs, homophobe, and Seth Jones of the Columbus Blue Jackets.
Marry Brett Burns just because he's awesome in every way as a defenseman. Morgan Riley kill because I don't have any respect for him furthermore. And fuck with Seth Jones.
Yeah, I would have to say the same for myself. Marry Brent Burns, 100%. I love him. I think he's hilarious. Kill Morgan Riley, not only because of the whole recent, incident, we'll call it a homophobic incident with the referee. I lost a ton of respect for him there. I mean, he says he didn't do it, and like the NHL and the Toronto Maple Leafs want to try and tell us that he didn't do it, but I mean, the video doesn't lie to me. If he didn't say it, who did? There was nobody within like 50 feet of him. So other than that, I don't know. He doesn't really do much for me as a hockey player either. And Seth Jones I would fuck with. Jones, I mean, he plays for Columbus, so we kind of naturally don't like him, but he is a good player. He's got some aspects of his game that I don't like, but he's a pretty good player overall. So fuck with Seth Jones, rather. Kill Morgan Riley and marry Brent Burns. Number 11... We've got Roman Josi of the Nashville Predators, Erik Karlsson of the San Jose Sharks, and Rasmus Ristolainen of the Buffalo Sabres.
Ristolainen kill, probably marry Josi, and fuck with Karlsson, I guess.
Fuck with Karlsson, you guess. For me, I would marry Roman Josi 100%. Great captain of the Predators. There's nothing really not to like about his game. Erik Karlsson, I would fuck with him. His defensive game lacks a lot, and he's also injured a lot. And I didn't really like the way that he conducted himself during the whole Ottawa tire fire situation. I mean, you can't really blame him too much, but still, I just think he could have handled it better. And I would have to say, for Rasmus Ristolainen, it is a kill. He's a negative 39 on the season, and yet he still seems to think that he's the best defenseman in the league. So that's enough said there. And, last one we've got for the defensemen. This is a really tough one. So number 12, we've got Victor Hedman of the Tampa Bay Lightning, Mark Giordano of the Calgary Flames, and Drew Doughty of the Los Angeles Kings.
I think I'd marry Doughty. Fuck with Giordano, and probably kill Hedman, just because he's from Tampa.
Okay, that's fine with me. For me, I would. For me, it's a toss-up. It's between probably Giordano and Hedman. But yeah, Hedman, I don't really want to pick him just because he plays for the Lightning. So for me, I would have to say marry Giordano, fuck with Hedman, and I guess that leaves me just with Drew Doughty left to kill. Drew Doughty's awesome, but I guess he would be my least favorite of the three. So okay, now let's do a few specifically for goalies. So number 13... Henrik Lundqvist of the New York Rangers, Braden Holtby, obviously of your Washington Capitals, and Carey Price of the Montreal Canadiens.
Holtbeast, I will marry. Carey Price. A lot of people say he's overrated. I don't really know, so I'll probably maybe fuck with him, and then maybe kill Lundqvist. Maybe, I don't know. Now I feel
that's a lot of maybes in there. So she might want to kill Price. She might want to fuck with Lundqvist. The only thing that's clear is marry Braden Holtby. For me, obviously, I would marry Holtby. Henrik Lundqvist, I would fuck with. As far as Carey Price, I am one of those people who says that he's extremely overrated. For me, like, he had one amazing season, of course, back in 2015, where he won all that individual hardware. But, other than that, like, he's been pretty mediocre throughout his entire career, so he's never really got much of anything done in the playoffs either. So goaltenders, obviously, it's the most important position in the playoffs. The goalie can carry you pretty much the whole way through. So for me, Carey Price, extremely overrated. I would say kill for him. Fuck with Henrik Lundqvist and marry Braden Holtby. Number 14, we've got Andrei Vasilevsky of the Tampa Bay Lightning, Matt Murray of the Pittsburgh Penguins. I'm going to make this hard for you. I give you a Penguins player and a Lightning player in the same group. And then we've got Marc-Andre Fleury of the Vegas Golden Knights.
I feel like it's easy for me. I probably pick Mary Fleury, not just because I feel like he's a good goalie, but I feel like he's got a really good personality. He's just so positive, and I'd like that for long term. Kill Murray because he's just absolutely dreadful to look at. And Vasilevsky, not a fan so much just because I feel like he gets really, really, really lucky. He's really big, but yeah, I'd probably just fuck with him just because he's me, you know.
Yeah, I would say for me, definitely marry Fleury. I actually think Fleury's great. He's got a hilarious and awesome personality. Like you said, he's the one Penguins player actually who I never hated. And of course he escapes that kill fate here because he's no longer a Pittsburgh Penguin. For me, Andrei Vasilevsky I would fuck with. He does kind of get lucky at times, but it's also because he's always in the, like, he's just, like you said, he's huge, right? But he's got pretty good athletic abilities and positioning as well. So I like the way he plays. I don't like that he plays for the Lightning. So that knocks a few points off of him for me. But yeah, I mean, the Caps obviously have not really had any problems with him. They've never had a problem getting pucks past him, so he's not really a concern for me in that way, but he is a good goalie. So I would fuck with him and kill Matt Murray 100%. And number 15, we've got Sergei Bobrovsky, currently of the Columbus Blue Jackets, pretty much certain to be a unrestricted free agent shortly here, after they inevitably get knocked out in the first round of the playoffs, if they even make it there. Pekka Rinne of the Nashville Predators, and Frederik Andersen of the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Sorry, Leaf fans, kill Andersen. He's like a gymnastic. Just playing some gymnastics in the net. I don't even know what he's doing half the time. Actually, 100% of the time. Fuck with Rinne just because I don't know how he would do during the playoffs. He's just a total mess to me. I mean, I haven't watched him enough to know, but when I watched the playoffs last year, it was just dreadful. And then Bobrovsky I would marry just because I could feel more insured come playoffs.
Insured come playoffs with Bobrovsky.
Well, better than
with
Rinne.
Sergei Bobrovsky. I mean, I guess if it's a toss-up between Bobrovsky or Rinne, like, you don't really have a choice as far as a good option in the playoffs, but Jesus, Bobrovsky's never won a playoff series.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, for me, I would have to say I would marry Pekka Rinne, playoff struggles aside. I really hope he gets it turned around in the playoffs this year. I have a really good friend, actually, who's a huge Nashville Predators fan, so I hope for her sake that he can figure it out in the playoffs because they've got a good team again this year. So I would marry Pekka Rinne. I would fuck with Sergei Bobrovsky. Not in the playoffs, though. Keep him the hell away from my team. I don't want him on my team in the playoffs. And then I would kill Frederik Andersen just because I don't like him. I don't like the Leafs. I don't know. But yeah, Anderson I think is pretty overrated. And okay, number 16. So we're gonna switch it up a little bit here. I've got your three options are we've got Gritty, the Philadelphia Flyers mascot. And I'm going to make this tough for you because I know you absolutely despise both of these guys. But
Right.
Along with Gritty, we've got Pierre Maguire of NBC.
Ugh.
And Mike Sullivan, head coach of the Pittsburgh Penguins. So from Gritty, Pierre Maguire, and Mike Sullivan, you've got to fuck one, marry one, kill one.
Oh, Jesus. Kill Sullivan. I hate looking at his face every day. Probably fuck with Pierre. I mean, I despise him as well, but I can, I guess, deal with him. And marry Gritty for sure. Have you seen his eyes?
He's got beautiful eyes. For me too, for sure. I would marry Gritty. Pierre Maguire, I would fuck with him. He is annoying as hell and completely biased in his commentary, but overall, I don't think he means any harm or intends to do wrong by people. I think he's just a bit of a goof, but overall he's pretty harmless, so I'll spare him of the kill label on this one. And that's mostly because he's included in a group with Mike Sullivan, who I would most definitely kill. He's just a whiny douchebag. Number 17. Let's go all analysts for this one. So we've got Mike Milbury of NBC. Once took off his shoe and threw it at a small child, just to let you know. I don't know if you saw that. We've got Alan May, of course, of your Washington Capitals, and we've got James Duthie of TSN.
Okay, so that first one's easy. Marry Alan May.
Obviously, we love you, Alan May.
Not just because I think he's really good. Yeah, he's pretty good.
He's pretty good. No,
okay,
he's
you know
the
what
best.
I mean. He's the
best.
Okay,
he's the only guy on TV who tells it like it is. Thank you.
Fuck with Duffy. Just because, I'm not a fan, but I don't have much good choice, and then kill Milbury, because, ugh.
Yeah, you're not going to kill Duthie when he's included in a group with Mike Milbury. Yeah, for me, definitely I would kill Mike Milbury. What can you say, really? I mean, he's kind of one of those guys that, he ripped on Ovechkin for years and years and years and years and years, and then, now that Ovechkin goes and wins the Cup last year, he leads his team to the Cup, he wins the Conn Smythe Trophy, as the MVP of the playoffs, he leads the entire NHL playoffs with 15 goals, and now Milbury's, his biggest fan, all of a sudden.
The rest of the panelists are, have you heard them lately?
It's just you don't get to come hop on the bandwagon, once it's already full, there's no more room for you. Get out of here. So kill Mike Milbury, marry Alan May for sure. Alan May's amazing. And James Duthie, I would fuck with him. I know you find James Duthie annoying, but I actually really like him. Although I don't like him as much as I love Alan May, and so that's why I can't give him the marry label here. And number 18. Okay, we've got Don Cherry of Hockey Night in Canada. We've got Doc Emmerich, and we've got, I'm going to make this interesting for you, we've got Jack Edwards of your Boston Bruins.
I don't know. Probably have to fuck with Edwards, marry Emmerich, and then I hate Don Cherry. Hate. So kill him. He's getting old anyway, so, eventually.
Okay, we're not literally advocating, the end of a life here. You understand that, right?
Players' end of life.
I know. He says we should, kill all European players and, but yeah, for me, Don Cherry, I would have to label him as a kill. I probably wouldn't have labeled him a kill many years ago when he was still making a tiny bit of sense on air. But he's become such an asshat in recent years, repeatedly calling Evgeny Kuznetsov a jerk just because Kuzi does the bird celebration. And by the way, the reason that Kuzi does it is because his 3-year-old daughter gets mad at him anytime he scores a goal and doesn't do it. So Don Cherry hates 3-year-old adorable little girls now as well, apparently.
Doesn't do his research. Bad reporter.
And he calls the Carolina Hurricanes a bunch of jerks just because they like to celebrate when they win games. He called Alex Ovechkin a jerk for his celebrations after scoring goals as well. It's just basically Don Cherry has become the fun police. He hates fun. And I don't hate fun, therefore kill. Doc Emmerich, I would marry him for sure. It's probably my favorite way to listen to a game other than John Walton, the Capitals radio play-by-play announcer. But as far as TV commentary, I would say Doc Emmerich probably one of my favorites, if not my favorite. I love Joby and Locker as well. So I'd marry Doc Emmerich and Jack Edwards. For me, I would say I would fuck with him. I don't know, he's so over the top and he's annoying, obviously, but at the same time, if he's calling the game against a team that you hate, against Pittsburgh or against Tampa or something like that, then he's really fun to listen to because he just is flying off the handle every chance he gets. And okay, I think that's all that we have, right? Okay, so until next time, Caps fans, let's get some more big wins to talk about over this next week for next week's podcast. And hopefully we will have a 50-goal milestone to talk about the next time that we're on as well. Ovechkin, what the hell, just put it in the empty net. Stop trying to pass it. We know you're not selfish, but please, just...
Crosby.
Yeah, Crosby would have taken that empty net for himself in a heartbeat. Ovechkin, of course, tried to give it to Eller, but, he must be, really, really, really confident in his own goal-scoring abilities that, he's not even concerned about getting to 50. He just knows he's going to get there, so he passes up, a literal wide-open shot at the empty net.
Probably thinks he's going to get a hat trick.
Oh, yeah, for sure. That's how he usually goes about his business, so... anyways, you all have fun cheering on the boys, and we'll talk to you next week. Let's go, Caps!